We're now going to take a look at what a feasibility study is, and it has its four components of economic, technical, organizational, and schedule feasibility. Essentially, a feasibility study is used to assess whether a proposed project should be undertaken, and it does this by looking at feasibility in four specific areas. First one is economic feasibility, and that relates to money. What kind of funds have been allocated to this project? The second one is technical feasibility, that looks at the hardware and software within an organization and will it be able to manage a new project. Third is operational feasibility, and in the old syllabus this was known as organizational feasibility, but either know now it's called operational feasibility, and this relates to the people and the participants within the organization and will they be able to cope with the change of a new system. And finally is a schedule feasibility, and relating to how much time do you have to implement this new system. After this has been assessed and all areas of feasibility have been looked at, we then decide whether or not a new system can be implemented. Is it feasible? Can we do it? That's essentially what the word means. Are we able to implement this new system based on these four areas that affect it? So we'll go into them in a bit more detail. So firstly is economic feasibility. Essentially with any project, you're going to be given a budget. Okay, this budget might be you've been given $30,000 and you've got to spend it to improve our network in some way, in the way we do our day-to-day tasks. This actual area of feasibility overlaps with all the other areas as well, because each one of them has financial costs. So if you need to purchase new hardware and software, that relates to technical feasibility as well. If staff need to be trained, that relates to organizational feasibility in order to make sure they use the new system. And then finally, if timelines run over the deadlines, then it's going to cost money, okay, because you've gone beyond your scheduled time. People need to be paid for their work. So that's going to impact on economic feasibility as well. So you've got to really take into account how much money you have and how it will be allocated. The second area is technical feasibility, and we're looking at all hardware and software. And whenever you give an answer related to a technical feasibility, mention hardware and software individually, okay, under technical feasibility. So firstly, what hardware components need to be set up? Do we need new monitors? Do we need to get digital cameras for doing tasks? Do we need to set up new network cabling around the room, okay, and connect it to routers in order to make a secure line to the internet? So it is really all the components of the actual system that we're looking at here. Do we have it? Do we not have it? Can we purchase it at a reasonable cost? All coming under technical feasibility. Next, we have operational feasibility, where we're looking at the participants and can they handle the new system. We need to understand how well trained in IT are our participants. Can they do the tasks that the new systems require? If not, are they able to be trained by someone? Do we bring in a third party to train them, or do we get our staff trained by maybe one staff member first and then they train the rest of the staff? Okay, sometimes as well we need to factor in, do we need training materials? Do we need an operational manual that each staff member gets so they understand how to use the new system? Or will there be presentation media that will be shown in training in order to prepare staff for the new system? These are all factors we need to understand if we're going to be sure staff will be qualified to use this new system. Okay, and once again, it can relate to more money being spent. Different things have different costs. Finally is our schedule feasibility, and we're specifically looking at how much time do we have. Okay, the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, so things are going to take time for the implementation of this new system. Okay, but is there a realistic timeline? If we've budgeted for 3 months and then things take 4 months to make, well then we've got a month extra of payment we need to pay for certain groups that have either been training, staff that have been out of work, and it really blows the budget and how much we've got. So we've got to keep a strict schedule, which may be done in conjunction with a Gantt chart in order to make sure that our actual project will be on track and it's realistic. What we're going to do now is look at a quick scenario relating to a feasibility study. So what we're going to do is look at a proposed system. Okay, and in this proposed system, Omegatech are planning on setting up a new collaborative system that allows different teams around the world to share documents and communicate through video conferencing when working on tasks related to software development. This upgrade requires a complete overhaul of hardware and software in the setting up of a secure intranet, which staff will need to understand how to use. Omegatech has budgeted $80,000 to the proposed upgrade and will like the system to be fully implemented in 30 weeks in time for the new year. So let's go through our feasibility. First thing we'll look at is our actual schedule. So we've got 30 weeks in time for the new year. So our scheduled feasibility relates to that 30 weeks. That's the time frame we have. Okay. The next thing is our budget. Well, we've got $80,000, so we'll lock that in. $80,000, and we think that's probably going to be spent in overhauling the hardware and software, being a component of it. Okay. It also is going to focus on the technical components of this system, so enabling us to share documents and the video conferencing. So we're going to have to probably get hardware that relates to that so we can achieve those tasks. So hardware would mean web cameras for the video conferencing, a router for setting up the network connection, allowing us to share documents online and to upload our videos. Probably fiber optic cabling, so we have good network on our local area to work with and ensure that our bandwidth doesn't drop with so much wireless being used for our internet access, as well as desktop computers with high resolution monitors so we get a clear image of those people across the world who we're video conferencing with. As a part of the technical feasibility too, we need to look at what software we're going to be using. And as mentioned, we're going to be setting up an intranet. Okay, and so an intranet is going to require browser software and possibly web design software if we want to edit that intranet ourselves. We're also going to need video conferencing software to allow us to video conference. We can't just video conference by staring into a camera. We need actual software that's going to manage the video conferencing. The final thing we need to look at is our organizational feasibility. So staff need to be trained in obviously the new hardware as well as the use of the intranet as mentioned in the scenario. So I hope this has all given you a bit of an understanding of how a feasibility study works. Basically, we're broken up into our 4 areas. We've looked at a scenario here, and now this is a very brief feasibility study. You can go on for paragraphs about how each of these areas of feasibility is going to impact on an actual organization. This is just a mere summary. So if you're ever doing a feasibility study in one of your assessments, you should have a lot more pages of work analyzing an actual proposed new system and how it can be effectively implemented and whether or not it will be successful, okay, in a new organization. So I hope that clears things up for you.